tonight. Thank you for joining. Welcome LinkedIn, welcome YouTube, welcome Facebook. This is going to be an amazing night. We're going to be discussing a little bit, we're going to be going a little bit deeper into my new movie that I just launched. I hope you had a chance to see it, called In God We Test, The Jewish Secret to Wealth. And I'm going to be discussing with you guys how you can apply this in your life. Right now is the time to do it. It is Elul right now. And this is the time that we got to go forward. This is the time that all the magic happens. Our entire livelihood for the entire year is decided right now before Rosh Hashanah, right? So this is the time. If you're ever going to make a pledge, right now is the time to do it. And we're going to be going a little bit deeper. And I want to give the opportunity for you guys to ask your questions. I've got so many good questions from so many of you. So we're going to start right over here. I got one. Here we go. Okay. If I'm not making a lot of money right now, how can I make a pledge and give charity? I don't know if you guys saw my movie, but if you did, I spoke there about one of the reasons why I believe people are not making money, or enough money for that matter, is because they're not giving enough. You know, forever people thought that giving $36 or $18, that was giving charity. And don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, but it's not enough to move the needle. If you're going to move the needle, if you're going to do big things, if you're going to go big in your life, you got to go big in every area. And that includes going big in charity. Rachel Beck, how you doing? So nice to see you here. Moise Vega, how are you? Proud of you guys for joining. Please go ahead and ask your questions. I'm here to answer them. I'm going to bring in some guests a little bit later on Instagram. So guys, bear with me, and I will bring in guests. So if anybody had a chance to see the Parsha last week, Re'eh, it talks about somebody that comes to you and is asking for money. And it says that even if that person comes to you many, many times, you should continue to give to him over and over. Why? Because on account of the money that you give to him, God will bless all the work in your hands. You have to understand that God is like a banker, and we are like God's business partner. God is going to decide who he's going to do business with. If he sees that you're a good person to do business with, he's going to deposit money with you. If he sees that you are not a good person, you're not a good investment, meaning he continually gives you money, and you do not give it to other people, then he will cease to stop doing business with you. You understand? So, you know, in the non-Jewish world, they would call it, let's say, karma, right? If you do good, you're going to get good. But if you saw my movie, we're not talking about karma. No, we're talking about a hack in the matrix. God put into the fabric of the world, he put this concept of charity. I started doing this like 5 or 6 years ago. And at the time, I didn't even know what I was doing. But what I always realized, you know, there's many stories that didn't make it into the movie. But the first time that I ever gave charity, you know, maybe I fried people's brains when I said that I gave $18,000 my first time. My first time I ever gave charity was not $18,000. I gave $500 to charity. I had a friend of mine who was in yeshiva, and he didn't have any money whatsoever. And I was working a job. I was probably earning $50,000 at that time. And I had called the yeshiva, and I said that I want to give $500 to my friend because I wanted him to have money to go to the market to be able to buy a falafel. And I wanted him to be able to have clothes and whatever it is that he needed. That day when I went upstairs to my desk, I found on my desk $650 in cash on an envelope sitting on my chair. And when I went to go open the envelope, I was in shock. I said, where did this come from? I walked downstairs. I asked the accountant of the company, why is there a check for $650 on my chair? And he told me because they had miscalculated on my commissions, and on a particular deal, I had made more money than they had originally thought. And that was the extra amount. So that morning, I gave $500 to charity. That afternoon, I was paid back $650 right then and there. So a lot of people think that you'll lose. Here's the problem with charity. People are not giving enough. People are not giving enough charity. You know, everyone asks me, what was your motivation for making this movie. Why did you do it? And the reason why, I'll tell you, I have a very selfish motive why I made this movie. May I share it with you? Selfishly, I made the movie because I don't care so much about the institutions that are ultimately going to be receiving from the money that people are going to be giving to the institution, because God will support those no matter what. What I am more concerned about is the financial well-being of people around me. I can't tell you why, but my whole life I've always cared about people's money in their pocket. And not like in a nosy way. Like when I see somebody that is struggling financially, it absolutely destroys me. It kills me. It really takes a toll on me. It's really tough on me. And I really care about people's financial situations. So selfishly, when I go to make a movie like this, I don't care about the institutions that ultimately are going to be the benefactors. I care about the person who's giving the money. I was in a synagogue a few weeks ago. I was in a Chabad house in the middle of nowhere here in Panama, like people that nobody ever go. And we were with a whole group of people. And the rabbi there, I know he was struggling. He didn't show us, he didn't tell us, he didn't mention a word, but he put cookies on the table, he put tea on the table, and I can almost bet that those were his last cookies that he had in his house, but he put those cookies on the table. And I was so touched. And I said to all the guys after we prayed, I got up in front of everybody and I said, boys, we're going to raise some money for this rabbi right now. Let's try to raise for him $2,000. Somebody that was in the room that knew the financial situation of the other people in that room tried to pull me by the shirt and tried to sit me down as I was trying to raise money for this group. And I stood back up and he pulled me back down again. I said, get off of me. I stood back up and said, boys, let's go. We didn't end up raising $2,000. We only raised $1,000. But at the end of the trip, I said to the guy who kept on pulling me to sit me down, I said, what's your problem? Like, I'm trying to raise money here. Get out of my way. What's your problem? He said to me, Beryl, I know the financial situation of the people who are in this room right now. He's a little bit closer to them. He was family with them. And he said, these people don't have any money. I said, if you would have just told me that, I would have asked them for more money. In other words, the reason why they don't have any money is because they don't give money. So everybody thinks about it backwards. People think, oh, I cannot give because I do not have. What I tried to show you in my film, and I backed it up with sources, the reason why people don't have is because they don't give. You ever hear the expression, you got to give to get? In life, in charity, it's the same thing. Wherever you're standing right here, right now is where God chooses your livelihood for the rest of the year. And by the way, I don't even care where you give it. Notice how in my movie, I didn't tell you where to give your charity. Give it to wherever the heck you want. Give it to wherever you want. If you're a Muslim, give it to your local mosque. If you're a Jew, give it to your local synagogue or yeshiva or school. I don't care where you give it to. Just give. You will benefit. You, the benefactor, is the person that benefits even more. So a lot of people think like, okay, but a lot of people ask me, I work a 9-to-5 job. So if I work a 9-to-5 job, how can I give money? Meaning I'm only making $50,000 a year or 60 or whatever it is. And if I give away $5,000 from my paycheck, then I will only be left with $45,000. The answer to this is, by the way, AJ Walco, if you want to come in and talk, you could definitely come in. I would love for you to join. The answer is that the money that you are giving, God will bless you on account of that. You're not allowed to test him with anything else. You know, I didn't get so much time to elaborate in the film. You only have X amount of minutes before you lose people's attention. But if I had unlimited time, this is what I would have said. If you are struggling financially, the way to get out of that struggle is to give. And let's just talk about like a pure mental thing, okay? Let's just talk about pure mentality. I believe in having a rich mindset. It's a very big thing that I strive to achieve. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry to say this, maybe I'll lose some friends over this. I don't like to hang around poor people. I'm sorry, I don't. It makes me depressed. It brings me down because I don't like the poor mentality. Always trying to save, always trying to penny pinch, always trying to, I was sitting with somebody today at lunch and we were talking about his school debt. He took out debt for college. And he was saying, you know, hopefully I'll chip away at it and I don't know how I'm going to do it. It stresses me out to pay back my college debt. And I told him, you have the wrong target. Your target should not be, how do I pay off my college debt? Your target should be, how do I make so much money with God's help that it doesn't matter the debt? Meaning, if you owe $50,000 to debt, what is it worth if you made $500,000 this year? Who cares? In other words, to go big, the bigger that you go, the bigger that we think, the more we're going to be able to attract to ourselves. And that is what giving charity is all about. You know, there's so many rabbis. You know, how many conversations have I had with rabbis in the past few weeks? Rabbis, I'm telling them to give money, but they think of themselves as the receiver of charity and not as the giver of charity. By you writing a check for $180, for $1,800, for $18,000, whatever it may be, or $18, wherever you're holding right now, by you giving charity, you will become a giver. You open up for the universe to say, hey, for God to look down and say, hey, wow, this guy Moshe, this girl Sarah, this guy Ahmed, this person is a good investment. I'm going to keep on investing in them. You know, when I pledged my $250,000 this year, I went through a lot of emotions. One emotion was I was on an absolute high from, you know, it's like going almost to the casino in a certain sense. I was on an absolute high. By the way, I want to also clarify this. It's very important you guys know this. If you're earning $50,000 a year right now, do not pledge $250,000 a year. But if you're earning 50 G's a year, pledge $15,000. You see what I mean? Something that will push you, something that will stretch you. It should be in this world. It shouldn't be in some crazy world. In the Rebbe's words, he says, in the world of tikkun, not in the world of tohu. In the world of order, not in the world of chaos. So a lot of guys say to me, oh, when I pledged my $250,000 at first, I was petrified. How am I going to make it? It doesn't mean, by the way, don't think that you're going to write a check and things are just going to happen. No, that's also not true. You have to fight. You have to strive. You have to work. You have to grind in order to be able to make that money. But you'll see that God blesses the work of your hands. It's an unbelievable thing. Things just sort of work out. Emails just sort of come in. Messages come in. You put out, I put out this post about Panama this week, about how I'm opening up trade between North America and Latin America. The thing got 500,000 views between all of my social media platforms. I got 200 or 300 DMs from this post that I put out, meaning God blesses the actions of your hands. When you give charity, it's like rocket fuel for whatever it is that you're trying to do in your financial life. And people miss out. You know, people think that charity is a rich man's sport. It's a wrong way to think. Charity is not for the rich. The rich already have. Charity is for the poor, not for them to receive, for them to give. Let me say that again. Charity is not a rich man's sport. Listening to this right now, or watching this right now live, or watching this in the future in your car or working out, wherever this is going to catch you, right here. Yes, you. I know you're thinking, oh, he's probably not talking to me. I'm talking to you. All right? Charity is for you. It's not for the rich. It's not a rich man's sport. It's for you. And you could start waving a big stick. You know, I'll be honest with you guys. I fake it till I make it every day. And when I walk in a room, people see that I wield a big stick. So there's two options. We could either play small. We could go small. We could try to penny pinch on how to figure out how to get a fruit for 24 cents and 25 instead of 25 cents. Or we could go big. And the way to go big, if you've ever taken If you've ever, yes, Joy Shalom says, great feeling when you give. I totally agree with you. Nissim Lighting, not if you get, you give. You have to give first. 100%. Guys, do you hear what Nissim said? Very important. Not if you get, you give. You have to give first. That's the whole thing that I flipped on its head. That's what you have to understand. You have to give first in order to get. Right here, right now. Don't wait until you make $1,000 for you to give $100 or $200 to charity. Right now, right here, give $100 or $200, because that is the place where you're going to get the blessing. I want to add one other thing. I was just reading in a book called Tanya, written by the Alter Rebbe. Very intelligent, very interesting. He said in other generations, the main part of that generation was to study Torah, was to study the Bible. And that was where the world was holding at that time. That was the main thing that was required of that generation. In our generation, because we've come so low, we've sunk so low, it says that we're like the heels. We're at the lowest part that there ever was, lowest spiritually that we've ever been. So no longer is our job to learning Torah is not the main thing in our generation. Giving charity is the main thing in our generation, it says. And there's nothing will bring the Mashiach, nothing will bring the final redemption other than giving charity. That's the main thing. Why? Because money is the lowest physical thing in this world. It is in this physical world. The world is called Asiya. There's many worlds. I don't want to get too Kabbalistic on you, but there's many worlds. There's the spiritual worlds, and then there's the physical world. Money is in the lowest part of the physical world. So when a person gives from his money, there's nothing greater than that. It's a person puts his blood, his sweat, his tears into making his money. And when he gives that away, he's giving away his blood, his sweat, and his tears. So a lot of people say to me, well, how do I know if it's true? You know, a lot of young guys, really, the young people are the people that really are into this. Because old people they already figured it out. They have their way. They don't learn. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So a lot of young guys, and girls for that matter, will say to me, how do I know if it's real? How do I know if it's true? And I say to them like this: find out if it's true now. Because if you find this secret out at 20 years old, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 years old, you have that secret in your hands for the rest of your life. If it's true, find out now. And by the way, if it's not true, then let's go to the club. Really, I'm like a zero-sum type of guy. Either everything that God says is true, or none of it is true. So you're not allowed to test God with anything but charity. Nothing. There's only one thing that you're allowed to test him with. He says, and test me with charity. So when you test him, you're going to find out, is he full of it? Is he full of BS? Is this whole God thing real? Is it actually real? Or is it not? Can I tell you something? It's real. It works. It's rocket fuel. Today, with God's help, I pledged $25,000 to charity. How am I going to make it? I don't know. But I'm going to hustle every day, and I know in my hustle that God will give me my blessing. I know that I will be able to complete that pledge throughout the course of the year because God knows that I'm a good partner for him. And you want God to consider you a good partner for him as well. Okay, let's keep on going. I'm going to take some questions here. Here we go now. I love you guys, by the way. Thank you so much. How special are you right now that you're listening to this, that you're watching this? You could have been watching anything in the world, but you're watching Beryl Solomon talk about giving charity. How special are you as a person? You're beautiful. You know how beautiful you are? You know how special you are? What a beautiful person you are. Okay. Here we go. Daniel Shimonov from YouTube. Beryl, if someone lost $10 and wants to make back that $10, while he makes back that $10, does he have to give Meiser? Guys, here, Daniel, don't get so sophisticated about it. You know, everyone's like, so all of a sudden when it comes to charity, everyone's making all these crazy calculations, when to give it, how to give it, who to give it. Stop being so sophisticated. Take out your wallet, Call your local God-based institution and make a donation. Don't overthink it, okay? Next, Ruth Reisman. Can there be an alternate interpretation to test me? Ruth, I can honestly say with complete confidence that I have studied this subject possibly more than anybody else on planet Earth. I mean, book after book after book, hour after hour after hour after hour. Not only have I studied it, I think what separates me uniquely, okay, maybe there's some rabbis that have studied it more than me. What separates me uniquely is that not only have I studied it, but I have put it into practice. You know, a lot of you guys follow me for business advice. Let me tell you something. If you never heard, if you could erase everything that I've ever told you about business, every trick, every marketing technique, everything that I've ever come to you and told you about in business, and you had to erase it all and put it back with one thing, the one thing that I would put in your brain is give lots of charity. That's it. It's the ultimate hack. I cheat. I cheat in business because I give charity. Giving charity is a hack. It is a cheat. It is cheating the system. God makes things unfair for you. He gives you an unfair advantage when you give charity. Here we go. Let's go to Instagram. Hadassah, we definitely are Sodom and Gomorrah. I don't know about that. Joy Shalom, I feel guilty that I can't give more. I'm retired and can't give what I used to. Okay, so Joyce, here's a good point. What happens if a person's retired? What happens if they don't have any more streams of income? God has ways to pay you back. He can make your electricity bill cheaper. He can make your tax bill cheaper. He could help you get a government grant, whatever it is. Everybody, wherever they stand, the poorer you are, listen to me guys, listen very carefully. The more you are struggling financially, the more urgent it is for you to give your charity. It is a hack in the matrix. Let's keep on going. Justin Villi, I would love to send a good amount in advance instead of sending monthly. Let me know your thoughts. Any way that you give it, just give it. The main thing is don't get sophisticated about it. Everybody like psychs themselves out. Okay, Chaim Newman. I give Meiser and I'm not making money. So that's probably the problem, Chaim, is that again, how do we want God to relate to us? Do we want God to relate to us in the realm of nature, right? So nature is, I make X amount, I give 10% or whatever it is, I give it to charity, and you're looking backwards, okay, I made $1,000 and now I have to give $100 to charity. The whole point is push God against the wall. Push him up against the wall and say, God, I only owe $100 to charity, but I'm going to give $2. And it's up to you, God. I'm testing you, God, to make sure that I'm able to give it with joy and with happiness and with abundance. So what I would say to you, buddy, is, Chaim, go for it. Test him. Give an amount that you're not comfortable with and let God show you the magic. But by the way, guys, you also have to have your eyes open, okay? A lot of people think that, there's been many times that I'll give like 5 G's, bang, and then a day or two later, I'll make a deal for $10, $15, $20, $25,000. And it came from something that I was working on, or it came from one of the salesmen in my office, or it came through like I had to chase that deal down. So I could technically say, well, I did it. It was me. But when a person gives charity, what you're doing is you're shaking your blessing loose from heaven, and you're forcing God to give it to you. So here's another thing, okay? Here's another thing. There is such a concept that, thank you, Meow, I love your movies. Thank you, you're awesome. 1 second, Jacob 816. Thank you. Okay, James C 1298. And what happens when he doesn't pay back like you anticipated? I can't answer that because he always paid me back. And it's up to you. It's up to you guys to test him. You have your own relationship with God. Okay, guys? I have my own relationship with God, and you have your own relationship with God. So in your humble place where you huddle with the big man, huddle with him on this. Get close to him. Get up close and personal with God. Test him. You're not allowed. This is a new relationship. You're entering into a new portal. Let's say you always interacted with God on, through WhatsApp or Instagram Messenger or whatever, or calling him. Now you're opening up God's inner chamber and you're walking into the room with him and you're being so intimate with him and you're testing him. It's a chamber that you never walked into. I can't tell you guys how many nice messages. I can't tell you how many messages I got today that people giving 3,600, 18,000. I got a call today from a guy. He said that the rabbi in his community has been looking to buy a house for a long time, and he was not able to afford it. And he said to me that the house was $1.8 million. He asked me, should I buy it or not? I didn't check the message, so I couldn't answer him. By the time I picked up my phone, he answered his own question. He says, don't worry about it. I already did it. And I messaged him. I said, hey, did you do that? Is that a move that is within this world? Meaning, is that actually something that's a possibility for you? Or are you completely breaking all, rules and regulations here? He said, no, it's it's a stretch. It pushes me. It hurts. But it's within my realm of possibility. He bought the guy the house. And that's the key point, guys. I'm not asking you to break the bank. I'm not asking you to go nuts. I'm asking you to push. I'm not asking you even. God's asking you. Forget about me. I'm asking you to push a little bit beyond what you're comfortable with, to push God beyond what he has been comfortable with giving you until now. Moise Vega. Remember, not only money is a currency, time, health, wellness are all God's currency. Yes, Moise, okay, on one hand, but I'm not talking about time, health, and wellness. I'm talking about cold, hard cash. D.B. Schottenstein, it's important to point out that God always pays us back, even if we don't see it. Perhaps we're supposed to have a massive loss that we didn't even know about, and the loss was averted. 100%. It says that charity saves a person from death. You cannot imagine. I will never live my life ever again, guys. I will never live my life ever again without charity. I think we just lost Instagram over here. No, sorry, we just lost LinkedIn. Too bad. Okay, LinkedIn, I love you dearly. I'm going straight live on Instagram. I love you. Sorry, yes, straight live on Instagram. Stay with me.